realizing that I've made an idol out of my mother. And I said a couple weeks ago that I would start sharing my personal convictions because I believe that those are testimonies that can transform people's lives. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how when you start to obey those convictions and lean in and surrender, God will start bringing you through a process of sanctification, separating you from things that have been keeping you away from Him. And so I want to share one of my very first convictions as an adult that really led me to a whole process of being convicted of things that I never thought that I would let go of. But when I tell you surrender is one of the greatest things you can do when you come to Christ, I mean, I am truly a new person, a new creature in Christ because of my surrender to these convictions. And really, this is only the beginning. So I'm so excited to uncover who I truly am in Christ because of the things I'm willing to let go of. So conviction, number one, I was leading a Sunday school lesson and I can't remember what the topic was, but I remember realizing that I've made an idol out of my mother. And God began to convict me because whenever I would have an issue, whenever something was wrong, the first person I would call was my mother. Even if it was just to share some news, whatever the case was, my mother was number one for me. And I remember a very specific situation where I was lost here in Dallas and I did not know where to go. This is back in the day when all you had was a printout of MapQuest, okay? And my mother is in a whole nother state, living it up. And I call her and I'm like, Mama, I don't know where to go. And I am crying, okay, on the side of the road because I'm lost in Dallas. And baby, what? Yeah. I was a teenager. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, I need your help. And she like, girl, I'm all the way in blase. I can't help you. She ends up helping me get to where I need to be. But years later, when telling this story, I realized God is the one that knows all things. Why do I keep calling my mama? My mother's going to do the best that she can with the knowledge that she has, but she's not all knowing. She is not sovereign. And so every time I call her for help, for advice, whatever it is, which is okay, but your mother's advice should not be the end all be all because your mother doesn't know the end from the beginning. Your father, whoever it is that you call on, they don't know the unknown. Only God sees all things and knows where exactly He wants you to be. And so during this process of being convicted about calling on my mother first, making my mother number one in my life, I learned to stop calling her. Whenever I had an issue, I would go to my father first. Now, he may use her to confirm some things that he's already telling me, but there's also been instances as an older adult where I've gone to my mother after going to God, and she says something opposite of what God says. And if I had listened to her, I would be in situations where God never intended me to be in. Now, did she have bad intentions? Absolutely not. But she was going with her knowledge, with her experiences, and that is very much limited because she ain't God. And so I'm so thankful that I learned that early on because now I know to go to my father. And before even asking her about something, I make sure that I hear clearly from him because I don't want what he has to say, or I just don't want my mind to be clouded. And so sometimes she confirms it. I won't even say anything to her. She'll be like, hey, I had a dream about this, or whatever the case is. Or sometimes she'll give me advice that is completely opposite. It makes sense to the world, but it's not what God is telling me to do. And it's been proven every single time when I do what God says over the opinions of my mother or other people that I find valuable in my life, I end up in perfect alignment with His will. And I know for certain if I had gone with the advice of others, with things that make sense to other people, I would have been in not so good situations. So I hope that helps somebody. I know that it is so easy to call on someone that you trust and that you know loves you and has your best interest in mind. But that's not greater than the one who knew you before you were even placed into this earth, who knows exactly what He needs you to do in this earth, you know? So as I've learned this, I've gotten closer to God and our relationship has gotten much tighter because I didn't put my mother in between him and I, if that makes sense. Instead, it's me and God, and everybody else is on the outside. I hope this helps somebody, free somebody. I don't know if you've been convicted about this, if you want to share below, but I really believe these stories, these testimonies can really help people get out of whatever situation they're in. So till next time.